Saustava reuga grautungishka, dels sau anthra. The Valthungian Alphabet, Part 2. In my last video, I showed you the letters and their names. In this video, I want to talk a little bit more about each one and offer some context and examples. Just a couple of quick disclaimers before I get started. This video has a lot of technical terminology in it, but you don't need to understand it all to get the gist of what I'm talking about. It should be clear from the examples that I give. I'm also going to use some IPA. That's the International Phonetic Alphabet, not the beer. And you should just be aware that there's some variation in different dialects and even in my own speech. Furthermore, I give some examples of words in other languages with similar sounds, but you don't need to come at me with all your, "But I don't pronounce it like that." I'm literally saying these words with my very own face mouth, so if the example I give doesn't apply to you, just listen to the sound I'm making, not the sound you would make in the example. Finally, there are some letters that are pretty self-explanatory, so bear with me through things like the letter Saugila, which looks like S, and is pronounced like S, and is transliterated as S, and has the IPA symbol as S. They may get a little boring, but each one just takes a few seconds to get through, and you may find a few surprises in there too. So let's get to it. Aska means ash tree. It makes an unrounded low back vowel sound, like the A in father. In transliteration, it is represented by the letter A. Avoid the temptation to pronounce it as a schwa when it is unstressed. Anthra, second. Rajna, house. Nadra, snake. Specifically, this is any kind of venomous snake. A non-venomous snake is called vrops. Eus means horse. It represents a long, unrounded mid-front vowel, kind of like the A in day. In transliteration, it is represented by the AE ligature, sometimes known as ash, with a macron to indicate that it is long. This is one of only two long vowels that can be found in the actual Valthungian alphabet. Though it does not have a short written equivalent, phonologically it is the long version of the letter eja. As with all long vowels, it can only occur with primary or secondary stress. That is, it can never be unstressed. Evi, mother. Tway, two. Gates, goat. Brecca means birch. It is a voiced bilabial stop, pronounced just like the B in birch, and in transliteration is also represented by the letter B. Brecca never occurs at the end of a word. Bran, child. Blayubesha, blueberries. Libin, to leave. Giva means gift. It is a voiced velar stop, pronounced like the G in gift. It is transliterated as the letter G. Gangna, to go. Agithesha, lizard. Gistradag, yesterday. Juice means animal or creature. It is a voiced post-alveolar or alveolo-palatal affricate, pronounced like the J in juice. It is transliterated as the letter G with a sort of inverted circumflex called a charon or a hachek. Jikur, liver. Hujin, to think. Laj, elk. Daj means day. It is a voiced dental stop, pronounced like the D in day, but with the tongue against the back of the teeth. With very few exceptions, all of the coronal consonants in Valthungian are dental rather than alveolar. It is transliterated as the letter D. Brus, orange, as in the color orange. Ade, egg. Wind, wind. Evi means mother. It is a voiced interdental fricative, pronounced like the TH in this. Evi never occurs at the beginning or end of a word. It can only occur word internally. It is transliterated as the letter ev, which is a sort of D with a line through it that used to represent this sound in Old English, and is still used in languages like Icelandic. Ekitho, rather. Flavus, horrible. Spithes, late. Eja means blade. It is pronounced exactly like Eus, but shorter. It is transliterated as the letter E. Elis, accept. Mechin, to eat. Nuge, new. Actually, this is kind of an old word for new, which is sort of funny. Akuje means axe. It is pronounced like the letter S in vision, or J in the French jamais. Like Evi, akuje cannot occur at the beginning or end of a word. It is transliterated as a Z with a hachek. Thrija, three. Rajna, house. Snuja, daughter-in-law. Hagla means hail, as in the kind that falls from the sky. It is pronounced and transliterated as an H. In some dialects, it is not pronounced at all. Hagla can only occur at the beginning of a word or after a prefix. Handus, hand. Hains, refined. Gehugits, consciousness. Thronus means thorn. It is an unvoiced interdental fricative, pronounced like the th in think or bath. It is transliterated as the letter thorn, which used to represent this sound in Old English, and is still used in languages like Icelandic. Thaguns, dishes. Nenthi, adventure. Bluff Leaf. Igil means hedgehog. It is a high, unrounded front vowel, like the E in meat. It is transliterated as the letter I. Inila, excuse. Sichin, to sit. Klithi, baby. Yair means year. It is a palatal glide, pronounced like the Y in yes. It is transliterated as the letter J. It never occurs at the end of a word. Yains means that, or that thing over there, yonder. Graius, gray. Yuga, lion. Kunai means family. It is an unvoiced velar stop, pronounced like the K in kid. It is transliterated as the letter K. Tikra, chickpea. Brecca knudha, larynx. Whike, but how? Lagus means lake or body of water. It is a coronal lateral approximant, usually dental, though sometimes alveolar depending on the dialect, pronounced like the L in liquid. It is transliterated as the letter L. Lima means lemon or lime depending on which article you put with it. Silufra, silver. Litil, small. Matna means man or person. It is a bilabial nasal, pronounced like the M in magma. It is transliterated with the letter M. Mailim, we write. Lambam, all the lambs. Amsma, shoulders. Noths means need or requirement. It is a coronal nasal. Like L, it is usually more dental than alveolar. It is pronounced like the N in no one. It is transliterated as the letter N. Neep, indigo. Neep also means bruise. Nenthin, to go on an adventure. Nifchin, niece. Ore means riverbank. It represents a short, rounded mid-back vowel, kind of like the O in hope. It is the back counterpart of eja and the short form of osus. It is transliterated as O. Ooguma, utmost. Kronamilo, cornmeal. Foradore, street. Predra means luck or fortune. It represents an unvoiced bilabial stop, like the P in purple. It is transliterated as P. Papirins, made of paper. Propra, purple. Skype, sheep. Reva means earth. It represents a voiced alveolar trill, like the double R in Spanish perro. It is transliterated as R, and is Valthungian's only rhotic consonant. It almost always occurs before a vowel, very rarely after. Rechis, jug. Reuris, perishable. Huar, where. Saugila means sun. It represents an unvoiced sibilant alveolar fricative, like the S in C. It is transliterated by the letter S. Seria, basket. Sexta, sixth. Suetis, sweet. Shuge means color. It represents an unvoiced post-alveolar or alveolo-palatal fricative, like the SH in she. It is the unvoiced equivalent of the letter akuje. It is transliterated by the letter S with a hachek. It never occurs at the end of a word. Shalto, peach. Fishk, fish. Hörshin, to hear. Tius is the name of a god, Tiu, which is the origin of the word Tuesday. It represents an unvoiced dental stop, like the T in tall. It is transliterated by the letter T. Tway, two. Tomate, tomato. Aftumist, last. Chus means choice. It represents an unvoiced post-alveolar or alveolo-palatal affricate, like the CH in cheese. It is the unvoiced counterpart to the letter juice. It is transliterated by the letter C with a hachek. It never occurs at the end of a word. Cheo, tea. Sichin, to sit. Gapicha is a kind of Valthungian dumpling. Ungula means owl. It is the short equivalent of urus. It represents a high, rounded back vowel, like the double O in soon. It is transliterated by the letter U. Unswairi, dishonor. Ustrust, it's a rough draft. Frodu, in order to. Evra means wild boar. It represents the voiced labiodental fricative, like the V in vivisection. It is transliterated by the letter V. It never occurs at the beginning or end of a word. The sound occurs at the beginning of words before a liquid, but although it is still transliterated as V in this case, in the Valthungian alphabet, the letter Runia is actually used in this position. Avra, very. Belivna, to remain. But you can see the Valthungian letters are different in the word vrivna, to sweep. Theo means cattle. It represents an unvoiced labiodental fricative, like the F in for. It is transliterated by the letter F. Phos, fox. Fymftis, 5 times. Thrauf, roof. Runia means joy. It represents a labiovelar approximant, like the W in wish. It is transliterated by the letter W. It only rarely occurs in the middle or at the end of a word. Waij, wave. Froa, pine or fir tree. Strau is a weapon. Richa means farmer. It is the short equivalent of Erja. It represents a mid-rounded front vowel, a bit like the EU in French P, or the umlauted O in German Öl. It is transliterated by the OE ligature, sometimes called Ethel. It can only occur with primary or secondary stress. That is, it can never be unstressed, and it can never occur word finally. Öfchin means to increase the chances of. Bröja, citizen. Vrechin, to operate. Uncha means ounce. Its long equivalent is öfti. It represents a high, rounded front vowel, like the U in French une, or the umlauted U in German über. It is transliterated by the letter Y. Some older transcriptions render this letter as a UE ligature. It can only occur with primary or secondary stress, that is, it can never be unstressed, and it can never occur word finally. Uphia, extra. Hujin, to think. Bruja, bridge. Osus means ox. Though it does not have a short written equivalent, phonologically it is the long version of ore, a long mid-rounded back vowel. Osus is the second of two long vowels that exist as part of the alphabet, the other being eus. As such, it cannot be unstressed. It is transliterated by the letter O with an ogonek and a macron to indicate length, though be aware that in the Valthungian alphabet there is no macron. Onista, stovetop. Roths, red. Stro, straw or hay. That's the end of the Valthungian alphabet proper, but please stay tuned for one more video where I'll go into some more detail about the 7 non-alphabetic letters, and some combinations and variants that can occur.